Well, Helen, we've had you here in the studio. Now I get to see you via satellite. Thanks for joining us.
I'm delighted.
Well, I'm going to call you the modern day Cupid.
Well, it's a big step for a big role to play.
Well, we're going to be excited to find out how might use online dating maybe to find our match. But what is it about anthropology in particular that seems to bring out the best in you?
Oh, that's a fascinating question. Well, anthropology is the study of people. I study people. We're the first in the world to put over 100 people into a brain scanner and study the brain circuitry of romantic love. And I think that that's why Match.com came to me, because they wanted to know why you fall in love with one person rather than another. And now what I'm doing with Match is this Singles in America study. It's the third year in a row that we're doing it. It's based on the U.S. Census. We're not polling the Match.com population. We're polling the American people. So we got the right number of blacks, whites, Asians, Latinos, gay, straight, every part of the country, every age group from age 21 to 71 plus. And we're really finding a great deal about singles that Americans don't know.
All right, well, this will be a question. You know a lot of things given all the research you've done. So let me ask you, what in this study surprised you the most?
Well, that word, the most, there's a great many things that surprised me, but maybe the thing that surprised me the most is that the number of people who will not go out with a virgin, 33% of men and 51% of women will not date a virgin. And I find that interesting as an anthropologist because, you know, virginity was a core value of world society for the last 5,000 years. And to have it change so dramatically to not really even want to go out with a virgin is a real sea change in what you're looking for in a partnership.
Well, how would you even know?
Well, I think probably in one of the first days you
Man,
probably
maybe
make
that's
a
the first
move.
question we should be asking.
They probably make a move in one of the first few days and you discover it. I don't
Right.
know
Whoa,
because
hey,
I'm not in that
yo.
pool. But you know what's interesting is singles really are looking for to marry. I mean, over 2/3 of singles in their 20s and 30s say that they do plan to marry, that they want to marry, and 90% of them believe that they can stay married to the same person forever. They're very optimistic. And in fact, they're looking for very interesting things in a relationship now. Rather than looking for somebody from the same religious background and same ethnic background, which is very traditional, they're now looking for somebody who respects them. Over 90% of them say they must have somebody who respects them, somebody who they can confide in, and somebody that they can trust. So we're turning away from traditional things to look for in a marriage and turning towards self-fulfillment, building a very solid, intimate relationship with another person.
All right, you use the word self. Now, you're a professor at Rutgers. You study anthropology through, like, biology as it relates to, like, sex, love, and marriage. So you said 90% of us singles, I'm included, are optimistic about marriage. But why? Like, most of us singles see
Well, I wondered that myself because Americans seem to think that marriage is doomed. And so this year, for our third year, we decided we would study not only 5,000 singles, but 1,000 people who were married. And one of the questions that I asked the married people is, would you marry again? Would you remarry the same person you're married to now? And 80% of them said yes, they would. And 75% of them said that they would, that they were still very much in love with this person. Married people have more sex. They have more orgasms when they have sex. They
Are you
go out with
sure?
friends.
Are you sure? I hear that once you get married, have the kid, the dude is doomed.
Well, you're wrong. And isn't that great?
What are the things, the factors through all your research that you have found that keep married people together? 3 or 4 key factors.
Well, one of them, excuse me, one of them is picking the right person. You got to pick the right person. People don't change during the course of their lives, or they don't change a lot. So bottom line is pick the right person. There's a lot of these singles are spending a lot of time in the interview process before they actually do tie the knot. So I think that's good. In a good marriage, it is my guess that they do a lot of novel things together. Novelty drives up the dopamine system in the brain and can sustain feelings of intense romantic love. So if I were wanted to build a real solid marriage, I would A, pick the right person, B, do lots of novel new things together. And this isn't swinging from chandeliers. Just take a bicycle to go out for dinner instead of the car. Just do it somewhat differently. Last but not least, sex is good for you. And in fact, with orgasm, there's a real flood of oxytocin and vasopressin linked with feelings of deep attachment. So stay in touch with the person. That drives up the attachment system in the brain. Do novel things and pick the right person.
That's awesome. We're running out of time, but how can you best use Match, the modern day dating, to success?
Well, you have to use it. You've got to go out and actually meet the people. This is not a dating service. It is an introducing service. You've got to take create the energy, build in the time, and actually make the dates to go out and have coffee with some person. And then when you do see the person in that coffee house, think of reasons to say yes. I mean, one of the problems is when you just meet somebody, you know very few things about them, so you overweight those few things that you've got. Get past that first date. The data show that, in fact, on Match.com, with the Singles in America study, we found that we asked the question, have you ever, gone out with somebody who you did not initially find attractive and then you fell in love with them? 40% of people who, eventually fell in love with somebody who they were not initially attracted to. We found that every single year. So if I had to say one thing, think of reasons to say yes. Get through that early part of the relationship and get to know somebody. You'll probably fall in love.
We always love talking to you. Is there a pacing to dating that you could give guys as far as spacing it out and not getting too excited too early?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because what you've intuitively understood that men fall in love faster. They do. They fall in love faster. They want to move in sooner. They want to introduce the person to their friends and family sooner. And I think if a man is very genuine about his feelings, a woman will go for it. When a woman knows that a man really likes her, she tends to like him more. So I wouldn't be shy about your feelings if you're a man.
All right, we got to get in touch with our feelings, man, and become good listeners too, right?
Well, women have to, women get intimacy from talking. Men get intimacy from doing things together. Both sexes have to come to the plate. Love is based on messages. They've got to be returned.
Well, I told you she was the modern day Cupid. She's proved me true. Helen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.